Seeing the future. We're checking out NHL futures bets here on the DK Sportsbook for the 2021-2022 NHL season, which starts on October 12th. Let's start here with team futures. The NHL is back to their usual divisional format here. So taking a look at the division winners future, currently Maple Leafs favorite there in the Atlantic, Islanders there in the Metro, Avs and Golden Knights are all favored to win their divisions. What's your favorite bet out of those teams, Jeff?
Yeah, as much as I like to go with the plus money here with a team like maybe the New York Islanders, I'm going to the easy pick here. It's the Vegas Golden Knights. Look, you just look at this division. Let's not make let's not make things more difficult than they need to be. You look at the Pacific Division, you can cross off 5 teams right off the bat. These teams have no chance at winning the division. The Flames, the Canucks, the Sharks, the Kings, the Ducks. These teams are not winning the division. They're just not. Then you've got an expansion team in the Kraken. We don't really know how that's going to go. That leaves us with the Edmonton Oilers, who are going into this season with Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen in net. I'm sorry, I don't have that much confidence in it. I'm a big Oilers guy, but I'm really not that confident. It's the Vegas Golden Knights here. Yeah, it's minus 160. This team, to me, though, should be closer to minus 300. So for me, that's the best price you're getting.
Paul, is Vegas the easy bet in your eyes?
You know what? I want to make money for me and my listeners, so I agree with whatever all that Jeff said. But I want to go to take a look at the Islanders and their situation. Like he said, you can write off a bunch of teams in this division too, though. The main contenders year in, year out that we've talked about are Washington and Pittsburgh. I think they're both going to take a step backward owing to the aging of their cores and some questions along the rest of their rosters. In addition, I'm looking at the Islanders' main competition is with Carolina. They made a seismic change in that, and we'll see how that plays out. They also lost their signature defenseman on the blue line with the departure of Dougie Hamilton, and they got the arrival of Tony DeAngelo, who comes with a whole slew of question marks around him. Is he going to be ready to play? If he does, can he reach the level that he had years ago and be one of the scoring leaders among defensemen? That's too many big question marks there, and that's the main competition that the Islanders have. In what the Islanders do have going for them, very few changes on this roster. They added the man mountain known as Zdeno Chara, and I wonder how he's going to cope with the new cross-checking rules, but I assume he's going to fit in and do his thing and only add to what I already see as a very deep defense and a very solid defensive structure. 1 through 4, the offense has 4 good lines that they can roll out every night, and they'll force opponents to play their grinding style of game. I think everything points to an Islanders challenge for the division title and a very nice payoff at plus 275.
AJ, of all the teams favored to win their division, which one is your favorite bet?
Well, I think Paul is just like trying not to jinx the Leafs here, because that's definitely my favorite. The Metro is a toss-up. I think the Golden Knights could take a step back this year. When you trade away the Vezina Trophy winner, you're not a better team. Just straight up, it doesn't matter who you brought in.
Death, taxes, and AJ mentioning Marc-Andre Fleury.
Hey, I didn't even
Thanks for saying it, Jeff. I don't like doing it every week either.
But look, the Leafs are in. They're my favorite bet here because you get plus money at plus 195, and it's basically a coin flip. I think it's between them and the Lightning for who's going to take that division. Now, if you're asking me straight up, who's the most likely team to win their division, I think the odds makers have this right, and it's 100% going to be the Colorado Avalanche are going to steamroll that division. But do I want to take a risk of like a McKinnon injury or a Landeskog injury messing that up at minus 250? Absolutely not. So my favorite bet among the 4 is the Leafs at plus 195.
Your sweater's coming, pal.
Hey, Paul, you can also parlay a pair of division winners together. So what do you think the best combo for that parlay is?
I have to think that you lock in one of the 2 prohibitive favorites. Let's go with the Knights in this case, and pair them up with the Islanders, who will only be battling Carolina, like I said, at the top of the Metro Division. That parlay could leave a nice payout in your pocket, and it comes with only minimal risk that I forecast. I look at other combos based on the favorites and see this one making the most sense. I already said Colorado is a prohibitive favorite in their group, so including them in the parlay only reduces the return. On the other end of the spectrum, I'm surprised that Toronto's a favorite in the Atlantic ahead of the defending champs in Tampa. That'll be a very competitive group, perhaps the most competitive one. I'm going to even add Florida and Boston into the mix, and I think they'll all be among the top 10 teams in the whole league. So I like my thing with the Knights and Carolina. And the
AJ,
Islanders, rather, I should say.
AJ, what's your parlay approach?
Well, looking at what they have on the DK Sportsbook here, I think my favorite one of the division winner parlays is probably Lightning and Avalanche at plus 340. Look, I said that the Leafs were my favorite of those division winners, but I actually slightly favor the Bolts to overall take that division. But again, either way, I think it's a toss-up. And then you're pairing them with an Avalanche club that I said is going to steamroll. Look, for me, if I can make an appeal to the DraftKings odds makers here, I'd like to see some parlays show up on the site here that include the Hurricanes, because I think they could really be in contention in that Metro division. But in terms of all the long shots, Paul kind of alluded to it. I don't mind the Bolts and the Islanders. It comes in at plus 1,100. Both being slightly, the Islanders being the Metro favorite on the sports book there, and then the Bolts being right behind the Leafs.
Alrighty, next up, Jeffrey.
Yeah, for me, I'm definitely sticking with my Vegas Golden Knights pick. I think they'll be just fine in net with Leonard, but you take that value you're getting with them, and then you pair them with either the Islanders at plus 550. If you wanted some bigger odds, I really don't mind the Panthers as a pick here. I think they are getting a little bit overlooked. A lot of it's going to depend on how their net play goes, if Bobrovsky can bounce back, Spencer Knight. But this team added Sam Bennett. I think they're a lot deeper than people are giving them credit for. You've got teams like the Lightning taking a step back just in terms of personnel that they lost over the summer. I like the Panthers to pair with the Golden Knights at plus 750, but my favorite parlay is definitely the Islanders and the Golden Knights. I think the Islanders are in a really good spot. Paul alluded to it. I think that division, some teams going to be taking a step back there. So give me the Islanders and the Golden Knights, my favorite parlay.
Well, speaking of Paul, here we go. Toronto's Auston Matthews is actually a pretty heavy favorite to lead the league in goals. It's looking at plus 300 odds. So the next closest there, Leon Draisaitl, plus 700. Is Matthews your favorite in this category? And just tell me why he is, Paul.
You know what? I'm smiling because I like this bet a lot. Matthews led the league in a year when he was hampered for much of the season by a wrist injury and a Leaf power play that stumbled in the last 20 games last year. I expect both issues to be non-issues this season, and that he'll even play at a higher level this season. The way last season finished left a huge chip on his shoulder. I expect him to be extra motivated. I also see his top contenders. Look, Draisaitl is going to get his goals and points, but I don't think he's the guy to watch for. I see his top contenders still being David Pastrnak, and he's got to consider that Patrice Bergeron slowed down a little bit last year and enters his age 36 season. And Alex Ovechkin is a guy who should be also considered. He's also in his age 36 season, and his scoring pace dropped a bit last season. And in addition, it should be pointed out that his normal center, Nicholas Backstrom, is already dealing with a hip injury that will keep him out for several weeks. So I think Auston Matthews runs away with the Brockton Richard this year.
All right, Jeff, how about you, dude?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that sentiment. I think Draisaitl probably going to be playing less with McDavid now that they have Hyman on the wing there. It probably will affect his goal scoring numbers just a tad. I think that really the only reason you're taking someone other than Auston Matthews is you just think that someone's so big in the odds that maybe Auston Matthews misses some games, and that person can kind of climb up that way. I think Nathan McKinnon at plus 1,700 would be my target if that's your thinking. I'm a little bit surprised to see him at plus 1,700. It's a player who shoots the puck or has shot the puck more than anyone in the league at certain points in his career. And if he bounces back, that's the same kind of shot rate. Let's say Matthews just slow start or does get injured. I think Nathan McKinnon at plus 1,700 is actually really good value. So my pick is definitely Matthews, but I think that if you're looking elsewhere, I would go down to plus 1,700 there with McKinnon.
Okay, AJ.
I'm with these guys. I think Matthews is the favorite. My guy that might be, an intriguing sprinkle option at some longer odds is actually Kirill Kaprizov at plus 1,700. You look at his goal totals from last season when he played, just the 55 games. He had 27 goals as a rookie there. Carry that over into an 82-game season. You're looking at 40 goals based on that pace. I think he could increase that. And let's take a look at 2019-20 when we had our last full 82-game season. It was Ovechkin and Draisaitl at the top at 51 and 50. That's not a huge stretch to think Kaprizov can get there based on his current rate. So again, like Jeff said, like Paul said, I think it's going to be Auston Matthews. And at plus 300, you're basically betting that he doesn't get injured. But if you want a more long shot, better odds, I like Kaprizov.
Alrighty, guys, finally, Let's look at Rookie of the Year. That's important. Montreal's Cole Caulfield made a big impression during the Habs' deep playoff run last year, and in turn, he is the favorite at plus 300. How do you like him, or do you see some other options on the board, AJ?
Well, much like Matthews, I think it would take an extended injury absence from Caulfield for him not to take home the Calder this year. The only name on this list that I really think might have a chance of challenging here would be Spencer Knight, who comes in at plus 1,000 here, but that would require him to take over as the number one netminder over Sergei Bobrovsky. I don't see that happening. I just don't see him playing enough games, even if he puts in solid numbers. So I think this is Cole Caulfield's trophy to win, and I'll just leave you boys with this. I'm Wisconsin.
Ooh, Jeff, would you like to share your rebuttal here?
Yeah, I would. I think this is open. I mean, I don't think when you look at Rookie of the Year, unless you have a really dominant talent that's playing in a massive role, you should be that confident at plus 300.
Like Cole Caulfield?
A dominant talent, we'll see. I like Cole Caulfield, but look, Vasily Podkolzin of the Vancouver Canucks is going to get a lot of opportunity. He's on the second line. They're probably going to move JT Miller to center. He's a playmaking guy from Russia. He's played in the KHL a little bit like Kirill Kaprizov last year. You get that experience. This is a 20-year-old player as well. He's going to have an edge on some of the other rookies. And again, you're looking at the Vancouver Canucks roster. This guy's going to fit in the top 6 right away. I think that at plus 1,500, he is definitely worth a look. If he starts getting power play time right off the bat, this guy was a really good junior. He was a leader for Russia in a lot of tournaments and stuff like that. I think he's got the ability to slot in that top 6 and start playing big minutes. Again, he's a little bit older, and he's got experience playing in the pros. Vasily Podkolzin plus 1,500. I like that as a long shot bet.
Do you like him as the favorite here, Paul?
You know what? You can certainly make the case, but he's going to need to score north of 30 goals to get there. And I don't remember the last time a Montreal Canadian forward scored 30 in a year. So that's his challenge in a team that's offensively limited, I think. I see Spencer Knight as a real threat here. If he gets a big share of the net on a very good team in Florida in partnership with a grossly overpaid and overrated Sergei Bobrovsky. Look, Bobrovsky's struggled more than expected in his 2 seasons with the club. They're going to give Knight every chance to take the reins here, I think. And should he play most of the games, that ought to lead to some solid numbers, and I think that could make him a favorite. But another top contender with almost a similar pedigree to Caulfield is Trevor Zegras over in Anaheim. He's going to center the top line out there, and like Caulfield, he'll get top line minutes as well as a great exposure on a power play that should be much improved this year. I remember him, for instance, as a top scoring junior and a real menace against Team Canada in World Junior competition from a couple of seasons ago. He was very dynamic then, and I saw a lot of great clips of him in 24 games that he played in the NHL level, one shy of what would have eliminated him from this competition altogether this year.